the still by which the world remembers the KGB man who later became a fierce critic of Putin by the time he lay dying. Aleksander Litvinenko, the man who had time to investigate his own murder, and he blamed Vladimir Putin. Today, almost a decade on from his death, a British judge, Sir Robert Owen, agreed. The Russian Secret Service, the FSB, and Russia's president are probably behind the murder.
I have further concluded that the FSB operation to kill Mr. Litvinenko was probably approved by Mr. Patrushev, then head of the FSB, and also by President Putin.
The Millennium Hotel, London, November the 1st, 2006. CCTV captures Andrei Lugovoy in the black leather jacket and yellow shirt at the reception desk. We then see Dmitry Kovtun in the same area. The police say they'd come to kill. So did Litvinenko, and so does the judge 9 years on.
There can be no doubt that Alexander Litvinenko was poisoned by Mr. Lugovoy and Mr. Kovtun. All the evidence points in one direction, namely that then when they killed Mr. Litvinenko, they were acting on behalf of someone else. I have concluded that there is a strong probability that when Mr. Lugovoy poisoned Mr. Litvinenko, he did so under the direction of the FSB, the Federal Security Service of the Russian Federation.
It was state-sponsored action, and that's why the last government took the action of expelling Russian diplomats, of issuing arrest warrants, of refusing to cooperate with Russian intelligence agencies. And those measures continue, and what we've added today, rightly, is further asset freezes, writing again to the prosecuting authorities to see what more can be done.
Outside court, the woman who dragged the British government kicking and screaming through the courts to force them to set up this inquiry, Mrs. Litvinenko.
I'm calling immediately for expulsion from the UK of all Russian intelligence operatives, whether from the FSB, who murdered Sasha, or from other Russian agencies.
Today's report details high polonium contamination, shown here in purple, where the two Russians met Litvinenko in a central London boardroom and are alleged to have tried to poison him first on October the 16th, 2006. They contaminated the bar at the Millennium on November the 1st when they're said to have successfully poisoned him. The Killer Teapot, a polonium contamination hotspot. They'd go on to contaminate restaurants, bedrooms, a pole dancing club, even Arsenal's Emirates Stadium, where they went to see CSKA Moscow play. Their telltale trail was international. On the 18th of October, Lugovoy and Kovtun flew back to Moscow from Gatwick after their failed attempt to poison Litvinenko, leaving radiation in their seats. 7 days later, Lugovoy flew back to Heathrow on board a British Airways flight, again contaminating the aircraft. Every time the two men flew, the telltale trail got longer.
This, as the Home Secretary said, is one of the most shocking and disturbing reports ever presented to this Parliament. It confirms that the Russian state, at its highest level, sanctioned the killing of a British citizen on the streets of our capital city, and in so doing exposed thousands of Londoners to unacceptable levels of risk.
Over the road, Russia's ambassador and the Foreign Office were having what they call a frank exchange of views.
The length of time that it took to close this case in this way makes us to believe it to be a whitewash of the British Special Services incompetence. For us, it's absolutely unacceptable that the report concludes that the Russian state was in any way involved in the death of Mr. Litvinenko.
Down at the Millennium Hotel these days, I can tell you the china teapots have been replaced by stainless steel, and life rolls on in the bar where Moscow's nuclear strike may well have taken place on London. So, what next in this extraordinary saga? Well, possibly not a lot. Let's face it, the amount of leverage the British government and its legal system really have over Moscow is pretty limited. And it may well therefore turn out that Moscow can indeed mount a nuclear attack here in the heart of London, contaminate scores of locations and scores of people, and get away with murder. Alex Thompson, Channel 4 News in central London.